Guten Tag, everyone. It's your favorite Bayern girl, Barbara. We had a spectacular opening first match this weekend against Leipzig, but the real question is, do we have the stamina to make it all the way to win this league again and possibly win the Pokal and the Champions League? Let's discuss. Now, I'm based out of New York City, so I obviously didn't get a chance to go to the match, but we were at home at Allianz Arena versus Leipzig. I'm sure that's always exciting. The first match home is always exciting, but for it to be match day one on top of that, it's just like electric energy. And I also think it's really cool because if you don't know, there's a tradition for the Bundesliga where the first match that's being played or the first match day, they always have a performer who comes and sings the German national anthem. And I like that because they don't do it every single game. It's just for the beginning of the season. And that's very different from the way that American sports are. We pretty much sing the national anthem at the beginning of every single game of every sport and every like season. I don't really get it. Like, I have American pride, but I don't need to sing the song every single time. So that's just like a weird neurotic thing about me, but I like that they do it at the beginning of the German season. And it was also different this year because they had a saxophone player instead of just a live person singing. So I just thought that was cool. They're just switching things up. So for our starting lineup, we had the usual suspects. So obviously Neuer is going to be in goal. Our back line is Leimer, Upamecano, Ta, and Stanisic. And honestly, I feel like this is pretty solid. I've been complaining about our defensive line for years, and it seems like it's never getting any better. But I will say that I think that Jonathan Tah is like an amazing addition to the squad, and he's very strong, very solid. He just recently joined us, and it seems like he already has a really good rapport with everybody on the team. And I've seen him actually play in person this summer at the Club World Cup. And every single match that I saw him, I think I went to three or four, but every single match I saw him in, he's just incredibly strong and very intuitive. But Upamecano is a longtime staple for us. I think he, apart from Stanisic, he might be like the longest tenured defender that we have right now. And I know that a lot of people have polarizing thoughts on him, but I honestly think that he had a lot of growing pains that he was going through, and he's pretty stable to me. So I don't really know what people expect him to do more of, but he's what we've got. And this transfer window did not go well in our favor for a lot of different reasons. I know we were focusing on attacking more for this window just because we have so many injuries out, like Musiala and Davies and all of that. But I don't know. I think we need to just like I think the coaching needs to be better. Like, all of these guys obviously have talent. It's more about coaching and understanding like what is the objective here? What is it that we're actually trying to do? Otherwise, you just got 4 or 5 guys in the back running around trying to figure things out for themselves. And that doesn't really build chemistry when everyone's just frustrated with one another. So they really need to know what the group objective is. Obviously, it's to defend and make sure that the other team doesn't score, but it's deeper than that. Our midfield, we have Kimmich, Goretzka. It honestly doesn't get much stronger than that for me. I think the only thing that I have an issue with there is essentially just the speed. And then we've also a little ahead of them, we have Elise, Gnabry, or Gnabry. I feel like I keep pronouncing it wrong. And Luis Diaz up front with Harry Kane. Again, there's just not much speed there. And so I think what's the difficulty for us is counterattacks, because what we saw, oh my goodness, this, if we go back to Club World Cup, I thought the most ridiculous thing about it all was, you know what? I don't even think it was us. I want to say it was PSG. All right. This is slightly unrelated, but hear me out. I think this is actually what we need to do. So when PSG was playing Chelsea in the Club World Cup final, I remember actually telling everybody Chelsea's going to win. Chelsea's going to win. And not many people had confidence on that. I put money on it, and I'm glad I did because it worked out in my favor. But the reason why I thought so is because PSG is incredibly strong in breaking through the other team, right? But they're also slow. It's the same issue that we have. They're also slow at counterattacks. And so what Chelsea managed to accomplish was every single time they were on one end of the field, they were able to lob the ball to the other side, knowing that they had wingers and midfielders who were just so quick that they were able to rush to the other side, not just having one forward on the other side waiting for the ball to get to them so they can score, but also having other people who were just as quick so that should that person not be able to pull off the play that they wanted, they're still going to have support in record time so that they can still accomplish their goal. And if you watch that match back, PSG versus Chelsea, Chelsea just did that so many, like the whole 90 minutes. So to me, it was quite shocking that the manager just like never, the PSG manager just like never figured that out and switched up their game plan for the second half. It just, Chelsea just dominated in my opinion. So anyway, but that's what I think is also our issue right now because we don't have Musiala and we don't have Davies. And because we don't have all of those fast people, we are going to struggle a lot this season for just lack of speed. So we definitely need to change up our tactics there. But again, I have all the confidence in the world for Victor Company, so I'm not really that worried about it. And yeah, like I said, we had Luis Diaz and Harry Kane in the front. I'm excited about that. Luis Diaz obviously was a major signing for us this summer, and we desperately needed him. And Harry Kane is fantastic, as I'll explain in the match later. He had a strong performance, as he always does. I think that when it comes to Harry Kane, people are just like mid on him right now because he was this big signing for us. It was actually incredible. It's like Thomas Mueller going over to Vancouver Whitecaps. Like it was a huge deal for someone who was already in the Premier League to come over to Bundesliga, like a top name in the Premier League to come over to Bundesliga, because usually the opposite happens where you have a Marco Reus going over or Kai Havertz going over, like different people like that. Robert Lewandowski going over to Barcelona. So it was like a really big deal when Harry Kane came over to Bayern. Right now, he's in his third season with us, and I still obviously think he's incredible. But I think that the lull, the community lull over conversation about him, it's because he's not exactly playing the role that I think that you guys were expecting him to play. I think you guys were expecting like him just coming out the gate, scoring all these goals, and being this big superstar. And I think what he actually did, which is incredible, is he assimilated into Bayern culture instead of bringing this Premier League standard of stardom over to Bayern and then making himself a big deal. As a woman who watches the sport, I love all things outside of football related to football, right? Who they're dating, what their family lives are like, what's the camaraderie with the team outside of matches? Are they hanging out with each other, going on vacation, stuff like that? And the reason why that's important to me is because I think the number one thing in this game, apart from talent, is chemistry, and also someone's integrity and the life, just the general lifestyle that they live. So for me, I see Harry Kane as a family man. He is dedicated to his wife. He has a lot of children, four, I believe. And I think that Munich allowed him to have this very like calming environment where he still gets to showcase his talent and be valuable to a team, but he doesn't need to have this level of showmanship where he's just not humble. So I think he fits into the culture very well. But also, I think that he came in at a time when like our team was just very young and new and not as seasoned. And we had a lot of veterans who left around that time. So he also undertook the role of mentorship, the same level that Thomas Mueller had. We all knew that Thomas Mueller was probably going to exit at some point. I don't think we really saw it coming at the end of this past season, but we all saw it coming. So we saw how Harry Kane and Thomas Mueller were really mentoring this next generation of players. And it was so genuine because you could see that they also authentically believed in being a mentor as much as they believe in being that great superstar talent in and of themselves. And so I just like that Harry Kane doesn't make the game or the team about him. And so when there are matches where he doesn't score a goal and somebody else does, I'm not going to look at it as, oh, Harry Kane had a bad performance today. No, at the end of the day, and no pun intended, he's a company man. So he pays attention to what the team's overall goals are, and he's going to be happy regardless if he scores or not. But more often than not, he does score. So there's nothing really to complain about. So let's get into the actual timeline of the game. So right off the bat, when it starts, minute 6, it seemed like Goretzka was going to have an injury and he just got sidelined for a little bit. I was worried about that because, again, I just think that he's probably one of the most significant people on our squad, being like a very tall midfielder who just knows so much about the game and the team in himself. But he seemed to be so hungry these last few seasons, also taking up a leadership role. I believe he's one of our like co-captains. I think there's like different tiers of captains. So obviously Neuer is a captain. We all know Kimmich is a captain should Neuer step off. But Goretzka is like one of those other people. I think the other ones are like Kim, and Coman was one of them, which was why I was surprised that he left, but that's a story for another day. Goretzka is just really strong and he's really passionate. I was really hoping that his injury wasn't too much worse, but I haven't heard anything post-match, so that's good on that. Minute 11, there was an opportunity for us to score. It was probably the first one. And it really bothered me because this chance was taken or would have been taken by Konrad Leimer. And the reason why I take issue with that is because this man is a right back, essentially. Why are you so far ahead that you have an opportunity to score? Like, I want everyone to be a part of what makes this team great and what makes us have a great match. But at the same time, you're out of position. If I was a manager, that would just really irritate me. If you guys play FIFA, on FIFA, like if your person is out of position, automatically the screen is going to tell you. And that gives me anxiety because yes, it's great that you're able to jump in where we need you. But if you're not where you're supposed to be, it creates a crowd, it confuses people. And like, we don't know what you're about to do because you're given wild card. And that just doesn't help with the actual flow of the match. So I'm just marking that as a note to keep in the back of my mind because you guys know me. If this is a pattern, I'm going to be loud about it. All right, so our first goal of the match was minute 27 by Michael Elise, of course. And I'm going to start a new series where I'm profiling the players on the team so that whether you're not as familiar because you don't watch Bayern as much or you're a new Bayern fan, you can get to know the players on a deeper level. So I'll talk about their histories with the team, but also just like them in general, like their backgrounds and where they're from and their overall personalities and stuff like that. So the first person I'm actually starting with is Michael Elise. We'll get into that. He scores in minute 27. The thing I love about Michael Elise the most out of anything is he's so intelligent. Like he's so good at reading the field. And I think I've probably said this before on Instagram, but one of the way that I see his abilities, I compare him to Messi so much, where Messi is a person where he only needs, he doesn't keep the ball for long. Like he can read what's going on 10 seconds before it happens. So he knows exactly where he's supposed to be. So as soon as the ball gets to him, he just makes his next move. And I wish more people in the Bundesliga were like that. I think the country that has players that they produce the most players who perform like this is Spain, and they just do an incredible job. But Michael Elise is just one of those people where he's so quick and he's so smart and yeah, I don't know. It's no surprise to me that he's constantly scoring goals for us all the time. And a little sneak peek to what I was going to say in his profile video is before he was with Bayern, he was with Crystal Palace and he was with them for a few years. But in total for them, he scored like 14 goals ish. And while he's been at Bayern, he's scored the same, if not more, in the one season that he's been with us. And it's because he's in the perfect position right now and he's number one in his position. But also, the older that he's getting, the just smarter that he's getting as well. And I see great things for him this season and for the rest of his contract, which isn't up for another few years. The next goal was in minute 32 by Luis Diaz. He was just able to cut through a very crowded box, and I thought that was amazing. Just showing your skill off the bat to everyone in the first match of the season. Well done. I watched the preseason matches as well. It was very easy for him to build chemistry with other people on the team, most especially Michael Elise. Like a lot of the videos I was seeing were with him. But yeah, Diaz he just fits right in, and I love that. And I love it because it also tells me that our sporting director just is with it. Like he knows what's going on. And even though a lot of the signings we wanted to happen this season did not happen, it doesn't make me feel like we really missed out on anything because look how seamlessly Diaz fits in with us. Yep. Minute 42, we got another goal by Elise. Love a brace all the time. Minute 49, we get a yellow by Jonathan Tah. I'm going to say Jonathan because that's just easier for me because I'm American. But Jonathan Tah gets a yellow card, and it's just frustrating because I won't say frustrating. It just puts a little bad taste in my mouth because it is the first match of the season. So we don't want to go too crazy. And Leipzig wasn't even putting up that much of a performance where I felt like that was necessary. We're already up, 3-0 at this point. But again, this is one of those things where I'm just going to note in the back of my head. And then if this becomes a pattern, I'm going to have something to say about it. But for right now, I'm just like, interesting. Minute 64, we got a goal by Kane. And I love this because, again, he wasn't doing too much, as some certain people would say. He wasn't doing too much, or he wasn't on the scoreboard. Like some fans are just like so irritating to me because they think if you're not on the scoreboard that you're not doing anything. But there's so many different roles that you can play. And if I'm going to bring up like an example, like something to compare it to, I would probably say way back in the day when Robert Lewandowski first joined Bayern, the main striker on our team at the time was actually Thomas Mueller. Like people forget how amazing he was, and we relied on him so much. And Thomas Mueller was just scoring goal after goal after goal. And Lewandowski showed up, and I cannot tell you what the idea was he actually just going to be this superstar person for us, or was that a part of his personality where he showed up and was like, I want to be the main guy? I don't know. But I remember him showing up, and even the first season he was there, Thomas Mueller was still a heavy instrument for us. But then it seemed like the team was shifting to cater to Lewandowski, and Thomas Mueller wasn't scoring as much. And I remember that's when like chatter started about Mueller being washed up or whatever. And I remember thinking, that's so insane. You don't always have to be scoring goals. There are other things that you can do to support the team and it still be just as great without beefing up your own personal resume. And clearly, Thomas Mueller stayed around for another 10 years. So who cares about what people have to say back? Minute 69, Kimmich gets a yellow. And you know what? This is different from Tah getting a yellow to me because Kimmich gets a yellow not only for whatever it is that he does, because at this point, it doesn't matter. The biggest issue that I see is he talks too damn much. He talks too damn much. I'm going to be real with y'all right now. I loved how fiery Kimmich was at the beginning of this personality change because when he showed up on Bayern, he was very young and he had this baby face and people were calling him Baby Yoshi all the time. And I feel like all of a sudden, I don't know if it's because he got married and became a dad, but he developed this very defensive, angry energy. And it was cool at first because it was like, okay, we could see you standing up for yourself, or we could see you standing up for your teammates or whatever. But at this point, I really wish that, you know how like now for Bundesliga, I don't know about other leagues, but now they have the referee cameras. So every once in a while, you can see from the referee vantage point what's been going on in the match. But I need the audio for that. I really do. Because Kimmich is one of those people where he will get up all up in your face and doing this and blah, blah, blah. And then it's, bro, is all of that even necessary? And then if you have your own teammates telling you count down, it's what are you actually saying? I don't think you're just like being annoying and getting in the ref's face. It sounds like you're saying something that you're not supposed to be saying, because then he gets this yellow card. And I'm like, I watched this happen so frequently last season. And it was so irritating to me because I'm like, sir, like at a certain point, like you got to know when to just let it go. Like I know that, let's say if something becomes a pattern, it becomes irritating to you and whatever, but you got to know when to let it go, especially when it's the first match of the season. Like y'all are already up like what, 1, 2, 3, 4 at this point. Freaking let it go. You didn't need to get that yellow card and you're just putting yourself at risk for other things. Yeah, I didn't like that. Minute 74 and 78, Kane scores again, so he gets a hat trick. Again, love it. Silences the haters and the doubters. Just keep it going. They get a yellow in minute 87. I'm not that worried about that because that's just a very uncommon thing for him. And it is what it is. All in all, we win the match 6-0. I'm really happy with the result. It's the first day back, first official day back. And it just signals to me that this team is extremely strong as it stands. I always get worried when we start to hit October, like beginning to middle of November, because that's when a lot of people start to get tired and there's more injuries. And then we got to worry about what things are going to look like in the second half of the season. But this was a very strong start. And it's incredibly surprising as well, because as you guys know, last season was so long. Champions League ended for us, I think it was like end of April, beginning of May. But then Club World Cup happened. Between that and when preseason started, I believe the team only had 2 weeks off. So I could imagine that they're just incredibly tired. But you know what? These guys are Titans. They are very strong, very athletic. They got it together. And I think that the leadership this year that we're seeing with Neuer and Kimmich and Goretzka in particular, I love him, y'all. I'm sorry. I love this man. Obviously, he's a good looking person, but like personality wise and just how you see his performances in the last couple of seasons, he's just getting stronger and stronger. And I think he's a person that we don't talk about enough. But in general, we have a lot of strong leadership on the team. And I think after the terrible time that we had 2 seasons ago where Bayer Leverkusen won the Bundesliga over us, that was just a tough pill to swallow. And we did very well last season by winning Bundesliga again, but it also felt like it was by the skin of our teeth. So I think we want to come out very strong at the beginning of this season and just keep that momentum going so that no one doubts us again, because there's already enough for us to worry about being a Bundesliga team and people look down on us all the time, even though I don't personally care. But we're starting off strong, and I hope that we continue this for sure. So yeah, that's it for this match's recap. There is another game on Wednesday, so I will be back to recap that. But before that, I will be putting out my first player profile, which is going to be on Michael Elise. And then I'm probably going to start another series where I just talk about just things that I think that women are interested in this space, because I do want to normalize. First of all, I just want to talk about whatever I want to talk about, but I also want to normalize just like women's interests in the sport of football in it of itself. And if you guys have any other ideas of things that you want me to talk about, please feel free to leave that in the comments. Besides, here on YouTube, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Bayern Barbie, and I'll see you guys very soon.